Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, we continue with the dramatic story of single mother Ly Hoai Ca, a strong woman standing tall amidst life storms. In the previous episode, while Hùng was seriously ill in the hospital, Hoai Ca, overwhelmed with worry, returned to her old house to find out what was happening. But unexpectedly, in that once familiar place, she was ambushed and captured by Hùng mother, the woman who had been on the run from the law. Inside the cold, silent house, with only the sound of wind whistling through the cracks, Hoai Ca was cornered against the wall. Her eyes were filled with panic, yet she struggled to remain calm. Hùng mother, her eyes burning with hatred, stepped closer and closer, like a ghost from the past returning to exact her vengeance. In this perilous moment, will anyone appear in time to save Hoai Ca? Or will she be forced to face Hùng mother's cruelty alone? And Hùng, still lying helpless in the hospital, does he even know that the woman he loves is in imminent danger? The answers will be revealed in today's video. Stay tuned until the very end, because in just one moment, everything could change. That day, in the stark white hospital room, Hùng lay there, but his heart felt as if it were on fire. A growing sense of unease consumed him, making it impossible to stay still. Over and over, he picked up his phone to call Hoai Ca, but each time, the only response was the endless, hollow sound of unanswered rings. Choking on his worry, Hùng hurriedly called Ha. His voice was hoarse from exhaustion, but every word carried desperate urgency. "Huh, where's Hoai Ca? I can't reach her. I'm in the hospital. I was admitted so suddenly I didn't have time to tell anyone. Please, tell her not to worry. I'll be back in just a few days." Hearing this, Ha froze. A detail suddenly flashed through his mind. Earlier today, Hoai Ca mentioned she wanted to go back to the old house, to check on the plants and animals. A bad feeling gripped Ha's chest, and he clutched his phone tighter. Almost as if reading Ha's thoughts, Hùng spoke again, his voice sharper and more urgent than ever. "Ha, go there. Right now. Check if Hoai Ca is there, and stay with her. I can't shake this feeling. If you see her, tell her I'm in the hospital and I'll be back in a few days. And please, don't let her be alone." While Ha rushed out the door, Hùng lay there, eyes fixed on the ceiling as his heart pounded in his chest. He didn't know why this dreadful premonition haunted him, but one thing he knew for certain: if they weren't in time, it might be too late. Hearing Hung's words, Ha was immediately filled with dread. Without wasting a single second, he bolted straight toward Hoai Ca's old house. The once familiar road now felt unbearably long, and his heart pounded so hard it was as if it might burst from his chest. When he arrived, the scene before him froze him in place. In the pitch-black house, Hung's mother was yanking Hoai Ca's hair with a face twisted in hatred, her bloodshot eyes wild like someone who had lost all reason. Hoai Ca, trembling in fear, tears streaming down her cheeks, could only plead. "Please, can't we just talk this through?" But her fragile plea only seemed to fuel Hung's mother's rage. With a savage jerk, she pulled Hoai Ca's hair even harder and screamed like a madwoman. Without thinking, Ha lunged forward, using all his strength to pull Hoai Ca out of her grasp. The room erupted into chaos, chairs clattering, furious shouts echoing off the walls. Finally, Ha managed to wrap Hoai Ca in his arms, shielding her from Hung's mother's frenzied blows. Yet the woman didn't stop. Her eyes burned with venom, and her voice raw and hoarse, cut through the air like a blade. "If you don't leave Hùng, I'll kill you. And if you don't, I'll die right in front of him. I'll make sure he lives the rest of his life cursed with guilt because of you." Those words stabbed into Hoai Ca's heart like a knife. She stood frozen, unable to speak. Ha tightened his grip on her shoulders, trying to calm her, but his gaze turned cold and sharp as it locked onto Hung's mother. He knew that if he didn't act soon, this woman could do something they would never be able to undo. Hung's mother kept screaming, cursing, and thrashing, trying to break free and lunge at Hoài Ca again. Ha stood firmly in front of Hoài Ca, ready to take the blow if he had to. In that small, dim house, the air felt like it had turned to ice. However, just as Hung's mother was about to lunge forward again, Ha swiftly pulled out his phone, his voice sharp and commanding. "If you don't stop right now, I'll call the police." At the sound of the word police, a flicker of fear passed through the fury in her eyes. For a brief moment, she froze. Then, like a cornered beast, she released Hoài Ca and bolted out the door, vanishing into the cold, dark night. Ha was about to dial the police, but Hoài Ca, her trembling hand clutching his arm, stopped him. Her voice was weak but resolute. "Ha, don't. No matter what, she's still Hung's mother. If we call the police now, she'll be charged with assault. Then, there will be no way back for her. Let her turn herself in, maybe. That will be her last chance to redeem herself." Seeing the tears welling in Hoài Ca's eyes, Ha fell silent. She had been through so much pain, and yet even in this moment, she still held on to her kindness. Slowly, Ha nodded and put his phone away. He gently led Hoài Ca out of the old house, leaving behind a heavy, suffocating silence. On the way back to his home, Hoài Ca didn't say a word. Her eyes stared blankly ahead, while Ha quietly walked beside her, like an unshakable wall shielding her from the storm she had just endured. That night, only the sound of their footsteps echoed in the empty street. But none of them realized, in the shadows of the night, Hung's mother was still out there, watching. This wasn't over. Ha knew the weight in Hoài Ca's heart. Seeing the girl he had silently loved for so long trembling, her tear-filled eyes heavy with fear and sorrow, he felt his own heart twist painfully. By the time they returned home, Hoài Ca was completely drained. She slumped down onto the bed, her eyes red and swollen from all she had endured. But before resting, she turned to Ha, who had been silently worrying about her all along, and spoke in a frail but unwavering voice. "Ha, promise me. Don't tell Hung. Don't tell anyone that I saw his mother." Ha frowned, ready to argue, but Hoài Ca cut him off. "I'm not trying to protect her. I just want to give her one last way out. If she still has any shred of conscience, I hope she'll turn herself in. If we call the police now, she'll be trapped, and she'll never have the chance to make things right." Ha fell silent. He looked at the girl in front of him, a girl who had just survived a nightmare, and yet could still think of others, even the one who had tried to hurt her. His chest tightened. He admired her kindness and strength, but it hurt him deeply at the same time. Stepping closer, he placed a hand gently on her shoulder and nodded. "All right. I promise. I'll keep this between us." In that moment, Ha realized what he felt for Hoài Ca wasn't just affection. It was admiration for a heart so pure that even after everything, it could still forgive. And from that second on, he silently swore to himself that he would protect her, no matter what it took, even if it meant standing against Hung's own mother. He couldn't help but blame himself. If only he had come sooner. If only he hadn't let her go alone to that house, or at the very least, if he had been there from the start, maybe things wouldn't have turned out this way. Ha clenched his fists tightly, suppressing the flood of guilt threatening to drown him. He glanced at Hoài Ca, her frail shoulders trembling as she lowered her head and silently made a vow. "From now on, I'll never let her face her fears alone again." Under the dim glow of the streetlights, their shadows stretched side by side. Ha quietly moved closer, gently resting his hand on her thin shoulder. Hoài Ca flinched slightly, but she didn't push him away. She simply remained silent, letting Ha stay by her side, her quiet, unwavering refuge. That night, lying on her bed, Hoai stared blankly at the ceiling. The ticking of the clock echoed like a blade cutting into her heart. Every cruel word from Hung's mother earlier kept replaying in her mind, haunting her so much that she couldn't close her eyes. Maybe I'm the one who's wrong, she whispered to herself. If it weren't for her, maybe Hung wouldn't have been torn between his family and his love. Maybe he wouldn't be forced to suffer, caught between his duty as a son and his feelings for her. She remembered Hung's pale face in the hospital, his tired eyes still filled with concern for her, and her heart ached even more. But then, the image of Hung's mother, her bloodshot eyes and her shrieking voice, resurfaced. If you don't leave Hung, I'll kill myself in front of him. I'll make sure he lives cursed with guilt for the rest of his life. Hoai shuddered violently. That thought wrapped around her like a suffocating shadow. She knew that if that happened, it would destroy Hung completely. And if anyone was to blame for that, it would be her. Tears welled up as she buried her face into her pillow, stifling her sobs. And in that moment of despair, she made the most painful decision of her life. I have to leave him. Not because she stopped loving him, but because she loved him too much. Only by leaving could she free him from the torment of choosing between her and his mother. She closed her eyes, forcing herself to believe it was the right choice. But deep down, her heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. The next morning, Hoai and Ha went up to the farm together. Birds sang in the trees, and a gentle breeze swept across the hills, but in Hoai's heart, everything still felt unbearably heavy. As they sat resting under an old tree, Hoai suddenly spoke, her voice trembling. I thought about it all night. Maybe it's time for me to leave Hung. Ha was startled, but he didn't interrupt her. He quietly looked at Hoai and saw her reddened eyes, filled with exhaustion and pain. That day, Hoai continued to reject all of Hung's calls. No matter how many times he dialed, the phone only echoed with the cold, endless beeping tone. No reply. No explanation. In the stark white hospital room, Hung lay there, staring blankly at the ceiling. His worry burned inside him like a smoldering flame, growing fiercer by the minute. He couldn't understand what had happened. Was Hoai safe? Was she in danger? Or was she deliberately avoiding him? He was so restless he couldn't stay in bed. Several times, he had wanted to ask the doctor to let him leave the hospital early, but the doctor only shook his head. You need a few more days of rest. If you leave now, your condition will only get worse. Hung bit his lip, holding everything in. He couldn't just run off, but it felt as if 1,000 needles were piercing his heart. When night fell and the hospital sank into silence, Hung still couldn't sleep. He thought of Hoai, praying for her safety. He worried about his mother, the woman still on the run out there, her fate unknown. Had she truly repented and would she turn herself in? Or was she still hiding, clinging to her hatred and guilt? And then there were the crushing debts, like invisible chains binding him tighter and tighter until he could hardly breathe. In that moment, Hung wished he could go back to the peaceful days when everything was simpler, when he could smile freely beside Hoai. No debts, no hatred, no illness. But now, those days felt like a dream he could never reach again. He closed his eyes, his hands clenching so tightly that his knuckles turned white. What should I do? What can I do to save everything? That question echoed in his head over and over again, but no answer came. Meanwhile, Hoai lowered her head, her voice breaking. Being with him only brings more pain. Hung can't choose between me and his duty to his mother. And if we keep going, all we'll have left is regret. I don't want that. I just want a peaceful life for me and for Tony. Ha tightened his grip, his heart aching at her words. But instead of arguing, he gently nodded. He knew Hoài Ca wasn't saying this because she had stopped loving Hùng, but because she loved him so much that she was willing to sacrifice. Placing his hand softly on her shoulder, Ha spoke in a deep, steady voice. Hoài Ca, if that's truly what you've decided, then let me stay by your side. I won't try to replace Hùng in your heart, but I promise. I'll protect you and Tony. I'll never let you get hurt again. Hoài Ca froze, looking at Ha. In his eyes was nothing but sincerity, no pressure, only a simple yet unshakable promise that could move anyone's heart. She didn't say anything. She only gave a small nod, but inside, a hollow, uncertain ache spread through her chest. As for Ha, in that very moment, he silently vowed, no matter what you choose, I will never leave you. So, will Hoài Ca truly have the resolve to leave Hùng, and eventually, will she open her heart to Ha, the man who has always silently protected her? And what about Hung's mother? Will she continue to spread her hatred, or will she finally let go and turn herself in? And Hùng, once he's discharged, what will happen when he finds out the woman he loves most is slowly slipping out of his reach? All of these questions will be revealed in the next episode. Don't miss it, because this is only the beginning.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người, lại là mình đây. Thì hôm nay mình tiếp tục đưa đến video tiếp theo đối với mọi người để mọi người cùng xem, đó là video về nội dung của câu chuyện tình yêu của mẹ đơn thân Ly Hoai Ca. Ở trong tập này thì mẹ đơn thân Ly Hoai Ca đã đối diện với mẹ của Hùng sau một khoảng thời gian khá là lâu. Bà trốn chạy tội của mình, thì hôm nay cái cơn hận thù đã đưa bà đến con đường là bà quay trở về để tìm Hoài Ca. Thậm chí bà còn có cái ý định là sẽ sát hại cô khi mà tìm thấy cô. Nhưng mà cũng rất là may mắn khi lần này bà tìm được cô thì cô được Hà, người đàn ông mà cô đang ở nhờ nhà đó, mọi người đã đến cứu. Và sau tập này thì Hoài Ca đang có ý định là sẽ từ bỏ tình yêu với Hùng, vì cô cảm thấy nguồn cơn của mọi sự đau khổ là từ cô và Hùng, tình yêu của hai người mà ra. Vậy thì diễn biến câu chuyện tiếp theo sẽ như thế nào, mời mọi người đón xem ở tập sau nha.